Okay. So I will pause my streams when I see the racers walk out of the door. And then unpause when you tell me to.
Okay.
To make sure that the commentary lines up, just some technical stuff, so to make sure that me and Scudge are seeing the same thing at the same time.
And ready now.
All right, so for anybody that's played this game, you know that the first approximately 6 minutes of the game is all movement. The escape is quite possibly, I don't know the right word to describe it, but probably the most work, as far as you don't get to go fast. So it's all optimal movement, 6 minutes of walking. So it is pretty much the best way to tell a runner who has learned to move around versus a runner that might not have mastered some of the finer points of movement in the game.
Like walking in the stairs.
That, yes, Link may have had one too much to drink there.
Yeah, I guess Blunt must have been looking away from the screen for a second there. So that'll give each man a little head start.
So since this is the movement chapter of the game, I suppose we should go ahead and get the way, shouldn't we?
Pattern and essentially boost yourself a single pixel every time you do it.
All right. So real quick, we have the first ball and chain key guard. Blunt picked up the key at about 2:59 or 3, and it looks like H-Man's picked it up at about 3:08. So that is your first major time mark of the game used in races is when you pick up the big key.
Yeah.
Pumping is... you'll hear a lot of runners make a big deal about it, but I think the general consensus is that it saves approximately anywhere between 3 to 8 seconds over the course of the entire run. But in the escape, when you don't have dash boots, it's pretty much the only tech that you can use other than optimal movement.
Yeah, and in individual rooms, you're probably not seeing more than 10 to 20 frames saved at the absolute most from pumping. Much more of the optimization comes from accurate movement. I mean, you see the streams side by side, you can really see the difference between how BluntBunny moves through a room and how H-Man does. There's a lot of small things that aren't really obvious at first. Like if you hold diagonal moving into a door, the game slows you down as you enter the door. If you hold diagonal coming out of a staircase, you get slowed down. Little stuff like that that's going to save a handful of frames at a time, but that a top player like BluntBunny is going to be doing correctly nearly every time.
So BluntBunny is getting ready to move into the sewers, and H-Man is approximately 10 seconds behind. We've already got our first time prediction from Zelna. Zelna's calling for the 5:58 escape.
I think that's probably pretty likely, depending on the key you're at. This is the first part of the game where RNG becomes really significant. The rats, the snakes, they have random moving direction, and then their movement afterwards is somewhat randomized, although it is somewhat predictable as well. I won't go into too much detail about that because that could take days to explain. But yeah, they're going to have to react well to the RNG that they get to not get bodied in any of these rooms. The tools that they're going to use are movement, the boomerang, and the sword. The boomerang can stun an enemy. The sword can knock it out of the way or kill some enemies. The boomerang is a little bit faster, and because it will be guaranteed to stun an enemy, it's usually preferable over the sword for an individual enemy. But the sword, of course, can hit multiple enemies. So if there's a lot of enemies in front of you, then the sword is preferable to deal with them. So there's a lot of very, very fast decision making to decide the optimal way to handle situations in this part of the game.
Speaking of decision making, with Blunt entering the sanctuary, we have the first major decision, the possible route divergence. Will BluntBunny choose to roll deep and bypass the Sanctuary Heart, or will he pick it up and disappoint RP Godfather? We will find out.
Yeah, the Sanctuary Heart's the first optional safety. It takes about 3 seconds to get and gives you 1 additional heart container for the entire run. It's the safety most people collect if you're choosing some and not others, and BluntBunny did forego it this time. He doesn't usually get it in runs. He has full hearts. The heart would give you a full heal, so if he was down low on hearts, then there's a chance he might pick it up for that reason. But he's fully healed, and he's confident enough not to get it.
H-Man, however, has opted for the safety. I can't blame him.
Yeah, and I think he'll probably get some others as well.
So we've got one more dungeon to go until we can stop with the walking and start going fast. BluntBunny makes his way relatively safely through the minefield.
Yeah, those Octorocks. It's another place where there's a very significant amount of RNG. Their movement and the direction and the timing that they fire is all randomized, so it takes really good reaction. When you have a lot of experience, you can handle these situations very well. That's why someone like BluntBunny makes it look very easy.
Yeah,
definitely did well as well.
Definitely one of the challenges for new runners in this game is reading and reacting to RNG. As if you played the game for 2 or 3 years, as much as some of these guys do, you start seeing the patterns. But for newer runners, it just looks totally random.
Yeah, I mean, you'll play for a couple months and then you'll get a brand new situation that you've never been put in before.
Now, BluntBunny is actually about to enter the first, I call it the first actual trick of the game, the Stelphos room. I've talked to a lot of experienced runners who don't actually know how this trick happens. So correct me if I'm wrong, but when you walk into the center of the room, it spawns a Stelphos north, south, east, and west of you. By walking into the room at a specific pattern, it prompts one Stelphos to try to spawn on top of a pot, which fails, and another one tries to spawn outside the room, leaving you with only 2 Stelphos to kill and saving about 3 seconds passing through the room.
Yep, that's pretty much exactly right. The other thing is that they kill them before they actually spawn. That's because their hitboxes appear at the beginning of an animation sequence, which just happens to take a second before they're visually there.
And both of them got the Stelphos trick.
Yeah, they both did it well. BluntBunny will be coming up into another trick called Big Key Skip. Oh, a lot of people call it the Big Key Skip. It's a deceptive name because you don't actually skip the big key. The room has a trigger where if you kill all the enemies, an anti-fairy circle will disperse and allow you to step on a switch. They're going to bypass that by using a damage boost to go through the anti-fairy circle, lift with the pot, and hit the switch without having to kill all the enemies in the room. Nice big time save. You have to take a minimum of 1.5 hearts of damage, except in extremely rare cases where you take only a half heart of damage. So when you only have 3 hearts, that's a pretty dangerous part of the run. If you mess it up even a little bit, you could be taking 1 or a half heart more if you only have 3, or if you're taking any damage before that point, or after that point, you could die in the first dungeon.
There's 2 ways to do that trick. One of them involves bouncing off of a popo, which is the way that the experienced and skilled runners do. H-Man opted for the easier route, staircase. It takes a little bit more damage, 2 hearts as opposed to 1.5, but it can be a little bit more consistent for newer runners.
Right.
And then BluntBunny is about to enter one of the most famous rooms in Eastern Palace, the Zelda Gamer room. You have 2 Stelphos here, both with 1 of 3 RNG patterns that they can take. BluntBunny handles it pretty well and moves through quickly.
Oh, nice. 2 arrow drops too.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best that room can go.
Yeah, and the first boss is it's a pretty simple one. It has a very consistent pattern. There's a quick kill. There's several quick kills that work, but once you have one of them down, it's very consistent.
Each quick kill, each faster quick kill is frames faster than the one that's slightly slower. So I think I've seen 4 different ways to do that quick kill, and BluntBunny does top right pretty quick.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to do that room.
So sword up time. BluntBunny has a 1054 Eastern Palace.
Pretty
That's
darn
pretty good.
considering the escape was kind of mediocre.
H-Man is about to pull the 1-2-1 and head into Armo. And a little bit of trouble with the red Igor. So BluntBunny is also going to approaching one of the other route divergences here. Some of the less skilled runners, like myself, will take the rupees at the back of Shalar's hut, where there's a free 100 rupees. The more skilled runners that trust their movement will actually use what's called New Rupee Route and a trick that involves pulling trees to get rupees. BluntBunny will take the New Rupee Route. I suspect that H-Man will get the rupees at the back of the hut. And Scudge, I'll let you explain the trees when we get there.
Yeah, okay. That'll be in 10, 12,
minutes.
13 minutes. I don't know.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how long it is. Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind is the arrow and rupee routes. Blunt has a lot of arrows. They both have enough arrows, really. I mean, if you don't run out on Armos, you're pretty much fine. Neither of them have enough rupees yet, though. By the time, well, if H-Man gets the rupees from Sahasrala's back room, then he'll have plenty. Well, he'll still need to get like 2 more from drops, but that shouldn't be a problem. But Blunt's going to want 14 at minimum to do the tree rupee route. So he'll probably pick up a backup one in desert. He's one of the guys I know that likes to get that if he's afraid he's not going to get enough from drops. But yet, in escape and eastern are the most likely times to get a lot of rupee drops. So if you don't have enough by this point, then you start to get worried that you're not going to get enough.
So the other thing, Blunt already completed it 3 times, but H-Man just completed his first spin speed. Spin speed is a Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch that by pressing A, the frame after you release a spin attack, you enter a glitch state that if you touch a manual staircase after that, you will be able to move Link in all directions at the dashing speed. We use it 3 times in this segment and a few times later in the run, but it is probably one of the biggest time savers in the desert overworld segment.
Yeah, for sure. There's different ways to activate that glitch state. Right now, the only way that they can is with a spin dash, because the other ones require different items. For example, the hookshot dash or a medallion dash will also activate super speed. This is the Desert Palace, the second pendant dungeon in the game. They need to collect 3 pendants before they can get the Master Sword, which is an important plot point in the game if you're not familiar with it. This is a pretty simple dungeon overall. It basically gives you a chance to warm up your dash-based movement in a really simple dungeon before giving you one of the hardest bosses in the game.
Meanwhile, H-Man has moved on to collecting some safeties. He's going to go ahead and pick up a bottle and a net that allows him to catch fairies and save himself from a death.
Yeah, the earliest time, other than right now, to get safeties would be after Helmasaur, which can be a very deadly boss fight. So if you're not confident waiting that long to get safeties, then you'll get them on this segment. And you'll be able to stock up on fairies early and most likely avoid any deaths as a result.
So he's actually picking up 2 bottles.
Yeah, playing it extra safe. Keep in mind, this guy's only been running the game, as far as I know, for about a month, so he's pretty inexperienced. It's really unlucky that he got matched up against BluntBunny first round, but that's the way seeding works.
But for running the game for only a month, he's doing a lot better than most. So.
Oh yeah. Cut sub 2 hours pretty quickly.
So BluntBunny is about to leave the first part of Desert Palace, and let's see if he tries the spin speed leaving Desert 1. If you do this wrong, you can hop off a ledge and lose 50 seconds, but with the item buffer, he safely moves on to Desert 2.
All right, something worth noting is H-Man spent 100 rupees on that bottle, so he's most likely going to do both rupee routes in this run. He'll most likely have to get 3 rupees as well in order to have enough to pay Kiki later. All right, so the last boss is a perfectly set pattern that's always consistent every time. And this boss is completely random. He can give very horrible patterns or acceptable patterns. I would say any of them usually are really good. At least it's really rare for them to be really good. It's 3 worms. They jump around randomly. He's going to try to kill them all with arrows. The best you can do is to kill them in 2 waves, but that takes a lot of skill and a lot of luck. The best you can really hope to do consistently is 3. 4, I mean, I'm okay with 4, but anything more than that, a good player like Blunt's not going to be happy with anything more than 4 waves.
Blunt lands a few good shots on the first wave.
Yeah, it was a really good
and
first.
He almost got a
used the
cycle.
That was so close. Is it just 1 slash left?
Early
might have
3
been.
cycle for BluntBunny.
Yeah, that's
not
really good.
bad at all.
16 arrows left after the fight's really good. I believe he did pick up the backup rupee pot. I think he had 6 before, and that was a 5 rupee pot. I didn't notice it at the time, but he has 11 now, so I guess he did.
Let's see if Blunt rolls deep with the cactus dash.
Most likely not. Cactus
does
Dash
not.
is a frame perfect trick that saves not a real amount of time, pretty much negligible amount of time. And if you fail, you lose hearts, so it's not ideal.
So Blunt is also coming up on our second Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch, the fake flippers glitch. This one is unique in that if you mess it up in a race, it is typically game over. If you get hit by an enemy on this screen, it will soft lock the game. We've instituted some rules allowing our racers to continue in the event of a soft lock, but BluntBunny makes it through cleanly.
Yeah, you actually jump into the water near enough to the screen transition that you're able to activate the transition before the game checks if you have flippers. And then after you've passed the screen transition, the game simply doesn't check again if you have flippers. It just sort of assumes that you already do. So you're able to bypass the check entirely. However, if you take damage, then you sort of land in the water in a way that the game checks if you have flippers, like it would if you jump in the water in the first place. And when it sees that you don't, it tries to put you back on land where you originally jumped in, and that was on a different screen. And that's what really confuses the game. So after you regain control of Link, if you move at all in any direction, the positioning, like it triggers an infinite screen scroll because the game just has no idea how to place you where it's trying to place you.
Hopefully we don't see the backup rule that we've put in place, but because we don't want anybody's run to end 20 minutes in, we've put in a backup that allows you to continue in the event of the soft lock at the expense of about 30 seconds of time.
Yeah. All right, Blunt's on Death Mountain now, which is a very dangerous place, as its name would suggest. Boulders are all random. The squirrels are all random.
Squirrels are jerks.
Which isn't great. It could be worse, but it's not ideal.
H-Man is about to enter Land Molas. Picks up the safety arrow pot, so he has 30 going into the fight.
Yeah, I would. If I have anything like 28 or less, I'd pick up that pot. Let's see how he does this fight, and then we'll talk about what Blunt's doing.
Lands 3 arrows on the first worm, misses the next 2.
Oh, somebody asked in the chat why BluntBunny didn't lose his spin speed when he got hit by a rock. Getting damaged while you're in the super speed glitch state doesn't actually cancel the glitch state. It'll remove your speed because the speed is actually acquired by transitioning from stairs to land. But because you stay in the glitch state, if you move back onto stairs and then back onto land afterwards, you can actually reactivate the speed without having to reactivate the glitch. H-Man did die to the boss, but he does have fairies.
Yep. Land Molas is one of the early equalizers in many races. If he decides to just give you all short hops, he can just add 20, 30 seconds onto your desert split, and there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. So It's definitely one of the harder fights for a new runner to learn.
Blunt got knocked around by some Moldorms there. 2 hearts in that room and 2 hearts on Death Mountain. Down to 1 heart. So this dungeon actually has the first bomb jump, which is a minor glitch, or some people will argue that's not a glitch at all. Either way, it's not a major glitch, as per our rule set. But it's going to let him use a bomb to jump over a hole to prevent him from having to do a little loop-de-loop through this dungeon to acquire the Moon Pearl. And since he's down to 1 heart, well, first decision he has to make is, does he hit a safety switch? Which has an offensive name that I don't think I should say. He did not hit it. That means that at most he can have 1 heart for the boss fight. He's going to have to pick up a heart before doing the bomb jump.
We'll go with the switch of shame for the purposes of this tournament. H-Man opts for the older strategy of the Northwest Breeze, the safer way to get to a Tower of Hera that doesn't involve fake flippers. Blunt was able to pick up the safety heart in the petting zoo, avoiding the mini Moldorms. If he'd have gotten hit by one, it could have gotten messy.
Yeah, see, he would be able to get through that fire. There's a way to clip through the rail, but when you only have 1 heart, the risk of taking damage is too great, so he just had to wait for it. So bad Kadongo RNG there, lost him even more time.
We are
having
going
to
to
be
roll
extra
deep
safe
with
in
the
this
1 heart
dungeon really
Moldorm.
sucks.
Rolling deep with the 1 heart Moldorm.
I think he'll be okay. You want to do mostly pokes if you have low hearts. You don't want to dash through his head if you don't have to. But yeah, you'll see he mostly waits for him to turn around and then pokes his tail. Moldorm's, his movement is random, but it's also predictable in some ways. I think every 7th movement is directed towards Link, so you can sort of use that to your advantage, because he'll come towards you, and then he'll usually hook away from you, and you can use that opportunity to hit his tail.
Blunt makes relatively quick work of Moldorm, and we have a 2250 sword up, 2249. H-Man picking up the mirror.
So one unique thing about Moldorm is that it's one of the few boss rooms that you can actually leave. Well, it's the only one that you can leave during or after the fight without glitches. And it often happens unintentionally. The boss can knock you off the platform. If you fall in the middle hole, you'll actually fall down 2 levels in the dungeon and have to walk all the way back up. So there can be some huge time losses from the Moldorm fight.
Speaking of falling in holes, Blunt dashed into a hole in the cave leaving Death Mountain. He may be entering Aghanim's Tower without sword beams, causing him to fall to some backup strats. Scooge, go ahead and talk about the Ruby Tree, since we're seeing him for the first time.
All right, so there's a sprite in the game which you can pull on to cause Link to roll backwards and rupees to fly out. And it's an invisible sprite, and it's placed on random objects throughout the game. And there are counters in the game which indicate what you're going to get, what kind of rupees you're going to get from those sprites. So the counters will reset when you start over the game, when you reset your console, but they'll also reset when you pull a tree. So if the counter, there's a kill counter and a damage taken counter. If you've killed 4 or more enemies and not taken damage, then you'll get red rupees. So the idea is to pull the first tree, get as many of the blue rupees as you need, and then kill at least 4 enemies and not take damage. Luckily, he took damage before he pulled the first tree, so the fact that he's down a heart is not actually going to be relevant for the rupee route. When he gets to the second tree, he should get red rupees. The other conditions are greater than 4 kills, but you have taken damage. That's going to give you blue rupees, which is why you get blue rupees from the first tree, because that's what's happened since the beginning of the game. Or less than 4 kills will always give green rupees. And 0 kills will give nothing at all. You'll just pull the object and roll backwards and nothing will happen.
So I believe Blunt had a 2420 Master Sword, and he's picking up his red rupees now.
He's actually short on rupees right now.
Yeah, he is.
He's 104.
He's going to have to hope for some drops.
Yeah, there are backups. There's 6 that you get automatically in Aghanim's Tower, but there's a backup 5 pot that he'll probably get. I think he only got 2 of the blue rupees. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. He should have got 3. But yeah, he'll be able to pick up 1 extra, and he might get a drop from one of the gold knights in the first room. Although, because he has to do backup strats, the drop will actually be in a bad place to pick up if it does drop. So normally you want full hearts in this dungeon, not because there's a huge risk of dying, but because you want to have sword beams, which you only have when you have full hearts.
This is pretty much the only dungeon where the optimal strats. There's one room in T-Rock where sword beams are optimal, but a good portion of the game, sword beams can actually cause you problems. But in Aghanim's Tower, they are pretty helpful.
Yeah, definitely. The problem that they mainly cause is that they'll actually override the sword damage. So you'll do less damage to your opponent than you actually want to. He actually got no drops from those two guys that he just killed there. There's a prize pack manipulation strat that involves killing them with a dash, but you start by damaging them with sword beams. And since he doesn't have them, he had to kill them with a spin. So he wasn't able to manipulate the prize packs, but luckily, he won 2 coin flips, so it ended up exactly how I wanted it to anyway. So that's really convenient. That means he's most likely going to get a fairy in Turtle Rock later, which is a very difficult dungeon, and also one where you take a damage boost at the beginning. So it's really nice to have a fairy lined up there.
H-Man opted to skip the bomb jump, but did
He
accidentally mirrored. Oh, that is unfortunate. He skipped the bomb jump, went and got bumper skip, and then accidentally mirrored right before the boss fight. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him.
They're telling me that Blunt actually did kill those guys with a dash. He did a backup strat that uses a dash to kill them. I was looking away until the enemies exploded, so I didn't see. But that is actually a pretty obscure backup that not a lot of people, I think, are familiar with. So that's really impressive that he was able to do that. All right, BluntBunny's coming up on the most annoying boss that there is. There's bosses that are affected by RNG, like Lamolas and Moldorm, up to this point. But with them, it's reactionable RNG. They move in a specific way and you have to react to it. With Aghanim, he's just kind of going to decide whether you gain or lose time with a coin flip, and that's really all there is to it.
Let's hear from the chat. Let's go ahead and put in your blue ball predictions for BluntBunny right now, and the first person to say 15 gets timed out.
H-Man's having some trouble with Moldorm from the start here.
All right, Timon, Foden, Ben, Skarsnik. I got to time out the whole chat.
He's gotten 2 so far.
Somebody says that Blunt missed one of the guaranteed shots.
Really? That's funny because I thought there was one extra attack there. Is that really what happened? Oh, no. I think that was his prediction.
Okay. Yeah, I have been known to miss guaranteed shots and run. Thank you, DM.
All right, H-Man just finished killing Moldorm. Had more luck the second time. How many has it been so far? Is it 4 or 5? Oh, wow. He actually didn't even try to reflect that one back. Luckily, it was a blue ball. I guess he thought it was the lightning because he wasn't paying attention. So I guess it could be, if it's been 3 so far, it can be, well, it would have had been 4. So that would have been 5. So it could be 7 at the most.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah. If it's one more. Yeah, okay, so if that was 7, then it's 7 maximum. It can't be another one. If it was 8, then it could be up to 11. And if it was 9, then it can be up to 15. Okay, it was 8 actually. So it can be more.
9.
Oh man, it can't be more.
10. Aghanim. 10 blue balls for BluntBunny.
Blue ball percentage command for Gbot, so we can see just how rare that is.
So 10 blue balls, you have to lose 10 50-50 coin flips. The percentages of that happening are 0.488%. That's a small number.
Yeah, so it looks like H-Man is doing the tree rupees as well as the Sahasrara rupees. to compensate for the fact that he purchased a bottle earlier. That time loss is pretty significant. It's about 6 seconds per blue ball, plus 6 for every additional lightning. And each additional lightning happens at every fourth minus 1 blue balls. So 3, 7, 11, and 15. So he had 2 extra lightnings, 10 extra.
That's 72
balls.
seconds.
That's pretty significant, I'd say.
Usually after about blue ball 7, if you're RTAing, you reach for the reset button.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so the whole reason that they got rupees up to this point is to pay a greedy monkey called Kiki. And that's what Blunt's doing right now. They're going to pay him 10 to follow him around, and then 100 to open this dungeon up here. If
Fun
you get
fact.
Hit at all.
Fun fact, in Japanese, Kiki roughly translates to Kiki. Shoutouts to Peacoll 44444444.
I believe that's true.
I made that joke on stream once, and somebody told me that Kiki is the Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound a monkey makes.
Oh. That's pretty interesting.
So Blunt has entered Palace of Darkness. The game significantly ramps up in difficulty in the Dark World. And you'll also see your first truly difficult bomb jump. There are 2 easy ones and 2 hard ones. The hammer jump in Palace of Darkness is probably the last one that new players learn. And it's about a 35-second time save over the optimal backup route.
Yeah, it can vary significantly, of course, because of the way that you execute it. But that's a good estimate.
H-Man has entered Aghanim's tower and opts to serve up Din Din to the ball and chain guards.
Yeah, he's pretty low on arrows, so he's going to do low arrow strats. All right, Blunt's going to be making his way to the hammer jump now. This trick is double pixel perfect, meaning that you have to place the bomb on a pixel perfect Y coordinate and then place Link on another pixel perfect Y coordinate. The X position doesn't matter as much. It can be problematic, but as long as you're within a pretty wide range, it's usually fine. You're also on a timer here because the bridge is falling to set the bomb. And you're also on a timer after you set the bomb because, of course, the bomb timer itself is counting down. That was really good. You can actually use the menu there to check your position to see how much you have to adjust. And the menus are free because you have to switch items anyway. If you're not in position, you can use the menu to sort of buffer your movement in order to not advance the game time by more than a couple frames at a time, in order to give yourself more time to reposition yourself. But that's where the time loss really comes in from execution, is from extra menu buffers. If you buffer your movement or adjust your movement a different way, then you don't lose any time because there's consistent timers running that are sort of universal that control the pace of the trick.
Now, BluntBunny did produce the tutorial that a lot of new runners use to learn the hammer jump, so he's known to be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Blunt with the sexy statue push, moderately attractive statue.
Good mimics. Mimics are difficult runes to do quickly because you have to manipulate their movement while also controlling yourself and controlling where your arrows land. Blunt executed his very well. Boss coming up is Helmosaur. He's a dinosaur wearing a helmet. I think that's where he gets his name from. The hammer, the item that you get in the dungeon, is one of the items that you can use to break his mask. And it is the fastest in the speedrun, so you'll see Blunt doing that. It's also the fastest weapon to kill him in his second phase, although that's much more difficult than using some other items. However, Blunt, being a top player, will definitely be doing that as well.
Clean turtle room for Blunt. Turtle room is one of the easy places for new runners to die. Turtles do a lot of damage. They move in random ways. They can end a good run fast.
Yeah, once they start going bad, you can start trying to kill turtles with your hammer and then flip other turtles over on top of you and hurt yourself. It can be bad. There's actually a trick Blunt's doing here, where he keeps his sword out while he hammers the mask. That's a safety option, so that if he lunges at you, he'll just knock you back from your sword instead of actually damaging you. So it gives you extra safety. He does 2 hearts of damage. Okay, cool.
Luckily, Helmasaur decided to stand still for him.
Yeah, you finish him off with slashes after damaging him with the hammer. It's 8 slashes or 4 hits with the hammer, or 4 spins, since spins do double damage in a slash. The Sanctuary Heart that Blunt skipped earlier is actually really relevant here because you have an even amount of hearts, 6 hearts going into this fight at most. And Helmasaur's attacks do 2 hearts of damage. So if you have the Sanctuary Heart, you can actually get hit by this guy 1 additional time without dying. So it offers a pretty significant amount of extra safety against this boss, and in a few other places.
Apparently this is Blue Ball Day here at the Link to the Past tournament, because H-Man seems to be also getting a number of them.
I was not counting.
I believe he got 3 or 4.
It's not too bad. 3 is the theoretical average, and most likely. All right, BluntBunny's entering the. He's now allowed to access the rest of the Dark World. Even in a casual play, you're kind of forced to go to that dungeon first because the rest of the Dark World is blocked. You need the hammer to access the rest of it.
We're also going to see our first item dash of the run, another Japanese 1.0 exclusive. But Blunt gets hit by the bird. That bird.
That's really bad.
3 hearts of damage.
It hit hard. There are ways he can heal before he gets to the next dungeon, so we'll see if he opts to do that and to play it a little safe or to play it risky. There was an item dash earlier in the Tower of Hera. He tried to do the boomerang dash, but actually failed. But we didn't talk about it at the time. He's going to collect the flute here, which is going to speed up overworld travel by allowing him to travel to fixed points in the light world with the flute. The little bird's going to pick him up and carry him around.
See if he can get first dig flute.
I don't know, man. It's pretty tough. Is he going to get the quick warp? No, I don't think so, unless his game feed's cut off.
Quick warps are another trick that the top runners use. We're not going to bother explaining it on this one, but I'm sure if you want to know, there's at least 5 or 6 people in chat that actually try to get them in their runs.
I think G-Bot could explain it too.
So luckily the rupee route worked out for H-Man. He had enough rupees to pay the greedy little monkey, and he is into Palace of Darkness.
Yeah,
Usain Bolt.
Usain
Bolt, fastest card in Hyrule, Trek Team 2012.
He's quite fast. He's hard to get around because he's actually faster than you on diagonals. You're faster than him on lateral movements, but the place where you have to dodge him is on a diagonal. So without super speed, it's actually kind of challenging to get past him cleanly. So that super speed is a big time save, not only because you're moving a lot faster than you otherwise would be, but because you don't have to slash your sword or move out of your way to charge a dash or anything like you would otherwise.
BluntBunny going for all the swag spin speeds.
Yeah. Okay. He bonked this tree, which gives apples. Each apple heals you a heart. We call this Apple Bapple for some reason. I don't know.
Sure, you don't.
But that's going to heal him up for the next dungeon. For me, the next dungeon is actually one of the easiest ones to get through damage list. It's one of my most confident ones to go into and not get hurt in. But I know that that's not the case for a lot of players, mostly because of the Hellway. Which I think we're allowed to say, right?
Yeah, we can say Hellway. Okay. I think you can say Hellway. The interesting thing about this dungeon, and we'll talk about it more when we get there, I believe it is the only fight that, I suppose this and Armos are the only 2 fights that you can fight exactly the same every time. There's pretty much a script to this boss fight that takes a little bit to learn, but once you do, Blind goes from being one of the hardest bosses in the game to one of the easiest.
Yeah, it's quite hectic and chaotic when you fight him. It feels really random, but it's actually completely scripted. And if you execute it correctly, then it'll play out exactly the same every time. And it
H-Man-
becomes one of the easiest bosses.
H-Man is going to go ahead and skip the bomb jump, or he might opt for top bomb jump. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see soon. When you skip this bomb jump, you actually have to get an extra key. And you can get that key in the basement here.
I believe
You
this
also
room.
stock up on rupees.
I believe this room used to be part of the old rupee route before the hammer yump was found.
Yeah, it did. I think did Blunt hit the God Pixel in the hallway? Saw it out of the corner of my eye while I was watching the other feed. I think he did. There's a single pixel that you can dash up between through the room. There's 2 spikes that you have to dash between. There's a single pixel window to dash between them. When you dash out of the door, because of the movement pattern, there's a single frame that you can stop your dash on to land on that pixel. So it's a frame perfect trick, but it's also RNG dependent because you can get RNG that won't actually allow you to dash all the way through. So frame perfect and RNG dependent. Feels really good when you get it.
H-Man discovering the reason why most people opt to learn the bomb jump. That dark maze with the Dodongos can bring your hearts down pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's very violent. He does still have some fairies though, so he should be fine to get through the dungeon. Blunt's actually about to meet the boss of this dungeon, though he's not going to fight him just yet because he's in disguise.
Her.
Well, okay, her.
She's still a lady. Treat her as such.
I guess so. I'm pretty sure somebody refers to Blind the Thief, an NPC, as a him in a different part of the game. It's hard to say. This is the first time that many kids get their heart broken in a video game when they're trying to rescue this maiden and she betrays them later. Let's see if Blunt hammer dashes down the stairs. No, he didn't. Okay. That's a fun thing that happens where you think you soft locked your game, but technically you didn't.
So we've entered the blind fight now. If you watch the actions that Blind pulls or that Blunt pulls off, if the blind fight goes quickly, you'll see that he gets the scripted fight. Phase 1 and 2 goes according to the script.
Honestly, if the first 2 phases go correctly, it's pretty much easy from there, whether it goes correctly or not. See, you messed that up a little bit, but it didn't matter because at that point it's a pretty easy finish. So yeah, other than Blind, I think that was damageless, which is nice.
H-Man's about to enter the turtle room.
We said earlier that this can be the bane of some new players, so you'll see how much of a difference it is between Blunt's execution and his.
Yeah, when you start flipping turtles and they start getting reverse patterns like what's happening here, it can
for some
make
reason
Helmasaur very interesting.
They always flip right back into your face.
Turtles are jerks.
Yeah. All right. At this point, BluntBunny was going to pick up some rupees. The rest of the rupee route is going to happen over the next minute or so. He's also going to upgrade his sword to the next level. One of the reasons why we do the dungeons in this order is because the item that he got from the dungeon that he just completed is the one that's needed to upgrade his sword.
And we are going to be using a fairy on H-Man's stream.
Yeah, but he should be able to close out the fight pretty easily after that. After you use a fairy, you have some iframes, so he can be pretty aggressive for a minute. And just finish it up with slashes.
And Helmasaur is down. Helmasaur is also one of the great run killers. I believe we had a weekly race approximately 4 weeks ago that I believe half the people in the race, some of them with 120x times, about half of us died to Helmasaur. It was
a lot of people died to Helmasaur in that race. But yeah, that's why he got his safety items early. The only real, natural times to get them are right after Helmasaur and before Desert. And if Helmasaur is going to give you trouble, then you got to get him early.
So Blunt has the Tempered Sword, and he is going to move on to Skull Woods, probably the shortest split, I believe, in the game. Maybe
It's a very fast dungeon, but because of some of the errands that you have to run beforehand, I'm not sure if it's the shortest segment. I really don't know what would be, though.
probably Eastern, now that I think about it. I believe 4:57. I've heard of 4:50 Eastern times.
Fast.
Definitely the shortest Dark World segment, though, clocking at about 5 minutes and 10 seconds for the better runners.
It's probably also the most significant difference in completion time from a casual playthrough to a speedrun for the dungeon itself. This is a pretty confusing dungeon. There's holes on the overworld, 4 of them that you can fall into. There's 3 doors that you can go into before you go into the second section. Doors that, locked doors that don't go anywhere, or that go somewhere that you've already been. Holes in the floors that'll block you from one entrance but not from another. So it's really confusing to get through. But even without any major skips, this dungeon is incredibly fast if you know exactly what to do. They will be using one skip, a bomb jump, but this bomb jump hardly saves any time. You would just have to go around like one extra room, blow up a wall, and walk down to the chest instead.
About 10 to 15 seconds, I believe it saves.
Probably about that. This bomb jump is easy, like the Tower of Hera one. The window for it is huge. You have plenty of time to set yourself up.
You have 6 pixels that you can stand from the edge of the pit if you time a bonk so that the bomb explodes as you're bonking. If you are standing still, you have 2 pixels from the edge that you can stand. Most runners opt for the bonk strat. It doesn't cost many frames to do.
No.
Versus an early bomb jump that very few people ever do in Skull.
Yeah, if you set the bomb early, you can pick it up, throw it against the wall, and position yourself in the last 2 pixels against the hole. It's pretty hard. Here it saves maybe a second or a little more. In Hera, you can set the bomb farther from the hole, so maybe up to 2 seconds there. Not to brag, but I am one of the few players who does both of those in runs.
Blunt is in the Mummy Hellway, our second of 2 Hellways. This is another room that can give new runners fits, especially if you aren't good with the fire rod and you run out of magic.
Yeah, dealing with those mummies can be really tough. Your movements have to be very, very precise. And it's coming into Mothula. This boss can be very, very quick or very, very long, depending on the RNG you get and a few other factors. That was very, very good, actually.
That was pretty good.
Things. It takes 4 hits to kill him with the Tempered Sword. If you dash into the block through him at just the right time, you can get a double hit at the beginning of the fight. Another factor is something called the spike glitch, where if you hit Mothula into the spikes, he won't take damage from your slash. He'll take no damage at all. So if he's up against the spikes, you actually have to do something called a poke dash to damage him, which is kind of difficult because you got to put your sword on him and charge a dash, and that does slash damage. So Mothula basically gave him the worst RNG there, where he'll tuck himself up in a corner, and BluntBunny did 2 back-to-back successful poke dashes for the 2 remaining hits he had to kill him, and got a successful double hit on the bonk. So that was an incredibly well-executed fight.
Meanwhile, H-Man just picked up the last of the safeties, the magic powder that allows you to turn anti-fairies into normal fairies. Powder is probably the last maybe the second to last safety that a lot of people pick up. Either powder or red mail, or I should say that a lot of runners drop. Either powder or red mail will be the last one that most runners drop.
Right, other than sanctuary.
But in the later dungeons, Turtle Rock, Ganon's Tower, the powder can certainly save your run many times.
Yeah, since you can transform anti-fairies into fairies to heal you, the placement of anti-fairies is really nice, actually. In some of the later dungeons, there's a lot of them near the end of the dungeon to heal you up before a boss fight.
The other thing that a lot of casual runners or casual players of the game don't know is that the bunny beams, the yellow spinning discs that can turn you into a bunny in the dark world, if you powder them before they start moving, they will turn into a fairy as well.
You can also powder them, the ones that are under pots, you can powder them before even lifting the pot, as H-Man just did.
Yeah, I know I probably played the game for at least a year or so as a kid before I figured that out, and it was totally on accident.
I don't know if I ever knew that, actually, as a kid. It's hard to remember.
I figured it out on accident rescuing the maiden in Thieves Town.
All right, so Blunt's on his way to collect the flippers. He just got the Quake medallion, which is required to open up a dungeon later.
Japanese 1.0, they are finger webs.
Yes, in the credits they're referred to as finger webs. Fun fact, when they translated that to the English version and changed it from finger webs to flippers, they actually didn't realign the text, so it's off-center on the US version in the credits.
All right, H-Man picking up the early safety ferry in Thieves Town.
Yeah, not taking any risks here.
H-Man
just adjusted to the God Pixel. That's really hard. But he got bad RNG.
Yeah.
The next dungeon that BluntBunny is going to go to is Ice Palace. There's a whirlpool that'll teleport him near that dungeon from right outside of the Zora's River. So that's really convenient. So that's why he's going to do that one next.
Let's see if he gets the jerk Zora in front of the whirlpool.
See if he handles it well.
He gets the jerk Zora in front of the whirlpool.
That's
but
not
it's close
such
enough that he can slash.
Yeah, because you can just slash him to kill him. You do have to wait a moment before you can slash. I'm not 100% sure, but I think if you go fast enough with that RNG, you can actually get past him before he spawns. But it's really, really difficult.
So in Ice Palace, we're going to see probably the second hardest bomb jump in the game coming up. It allows you to skip a significant part of the dungeon, rooms of Ice Palace that nobody has seen in years except for the 3 people that run mid% and actually pick up the blue mail.
Yeah, this is. I think this is the biggest time saving of all the bomb jumps. This is definitely the first one you should learn. I believe it's also one of the oldest ones. This is definitely known before the hammer jump. And
if the wrong person teaches you how to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, I just lost BluntBunny's stream, so I'm watching H-Man for right now. If the wrong person teaches you to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, it can be the hardest one. If the right person teaches you to do it, it can be the easiest one. So,
yeah, the coordinate positions are a little funny. The X position is kind of lenient, but not like negligible like the hammer jump. And the Y position for the bomb placement is pretty much automatic. And then you have to place Link, under the same timetable of the bomb countdown on a single pixel perfect position.
So we did lose BluntBunny's stream, at least on this side. We'll try to bring him back on as soon as we can. But in the meantime, we'll follow H-Man, show him a little bit of love. He's entering the blind fight right now. Let's see if everything goes according to script.
I'm not sure if he has enough experience yet to really have gotten the quick kill down. No,
opting for the sword. Opting for the sword beam strat.
Yeah, sword beam helps a lot in this fight. You don't have to get up in his face. Normally in this fight, we say if he goes down to the bottom of the fight, and that's a bad thing because technically that means the quick kill failed. But if the quick kill has already failed, then when he goes to the bottom, it's a lot easier to hit him because you have more open space to dodge north of him. I think there's been some storms in Florida lately. Maybe BluntBunny had a power outage.
I do still see him in the Discord, so at the very least he hasn't disconnected there. Hopefully his Twitch will pick back up. He says to refresh the stream, so let's try him again. H-Man does get through blind relatively unscathed. Actually, looks
Do
like
you
he's
have to use
picking
one
up
of
some
his
time
tools?
here.
I don't think
I
you
do not believe because he's picking up about 20 seconds here, and that's actually a gold thieves town for H-Man. So he's gotten 2 gold splits on this run. Always good to see, the bright spots in a race like this. Okay, and BluntBunny's stream is back on my end. We should be picking it back up on the Speed Gaming channel shortly. It actually looks like he is done with Ice Palace. So
Must have been
Cold
pretty
Stare
good.
was cooperative.
Only 1 heart down at the end of the dungeon. That's really good.
Yeah, he had a pretty good Ice Palace.
There's intentional damage boost that you take throughout that dungeon. 1 heart down is like the most you can have at that point.
Yeah, with the there's a yellow spike that you will skip through by slashing your sword to try to save about a second or so.
The next dungeon coming up is the Swamp Palace. This is the only reason that you get the flippers. Earlier in the run, he did use fake flippers to swim somewhere, but you can't actually use those to progress through this dungeon. So you do need to get the real flippers eventually.
It actually looks like, based off of the splits, it looks like H-Man is also going to go with the Tempered Sword route. A lot of the new runners will opt for the Gold Sword route, wherein you will go Ice Palace, Mire, and then Swamp, and then move on to pick up the Gold Sword. But it looks like he's going Swamp and Mire. So I think we both have Tempered Sword route.
He splits, that is the order of the dungeons, but his T-Rock split does say butter on it.
Oh, it does say butter. Okay, so he's doing the Tempered Sword dungeon route, but it does look like he'll be picking up the butter sword.
Yeah, we switch around the dungeons when you do a gold sword route just to make the overworld routing a little bit more efficient. It's not a huge difference, but this way, that way actually puts a harder dungeon earlier. And if you're getting safety items, then that might actually be kind of counterintuitive. So that might be the reason why he's doing the typical dungeon route. The dungeon that Blunt's in now is one of the earliest dungeons in the Dark World, but it's delayed a lot because you need to get the flippers early if you want to do it early, which just wouldn't be convenient at all.
So you do end up with a lot more hearts in that dungeon than is expected. So damage isn't really a concern. Usually the biggest thing that costs time in this dungeon is the boss fight. It's another cycle boss fight, kind of like Lanmola's, where if you take too long to get the kill, you go through cycles of guaranteed time loss. So that's usually where the good runners will lose time here.
This dungeon is kind of relaxing in that it's not going to kill you, but it also has some of the most consequential minor elements of RNG throughout the entire dungeon, probably more than any other dungeon. There's going to be small time losses from enemy RNG everywhere. And it's very frustrating for experienced players, to feel like they get screwed in this dungeon because it seems like it should be easy to get through. But then it ends up just being so many little time losses. A half second or a second here or there just from getting knocked out of a dash, things like that.
Blunt went with the sword beam strat to hit that switch again. That can cost you some time if the jelly jumps down in front of the sword beam. Another mistake that a lot of new runners will make is forgetting to hit that switch on the way out of the lever room, and you usually don't remember. Usually don't remember until you get to the big key and realize there's some pegs standing in front of you. So H-Man is in Skull Woods right now. See how he does against our winged friend Mothula. And BluntBunny is about to pick up the big key. Narrowly misses the Japanese 1.0 exclusive get hit while falling.
Yeah. That one can be hard to avoid sometimes. Sometimes you can't really tell why you're getting hit or what to do differently to not get hit. I can tell you what you're doing wrong, though. Oh, H-Man looks like he's actually skipping this bomb jump, and he's going to go the intended route to the fire rod, so you get to see that. That's kind of cool, if you actually don't know how that works. Be nice to see. one of this. You actually don't see these exploding walls in the speed run. I think there's two that I can think of in the game. One in Skullwoods and one in Ganon's Tower. Maybe I'm forgetting one that you don't see either in the run.
So Blunt is actually going to be coming up on one of those tricks that you don't realize that it's happening when it happens. He's going to hook dash this pot, putting him into the glitch state, which lets him pick up the skull from underneath the statue. A lot of runners will try this room, not realizing why they can't pick up the skull, and what you're not seeing is that the runner is hook dashing that pot, using the hook and dashing on the same frame, putting Link into that glitched state.
Yeah, that's one of those really weird things. I really question how somebody even figured that out. Just kind of really obscure.
Shoutouts to Timon in the chat. Blunt going through the restock room right now is going to grab some bombs and arrows and move on without the hearts. And H-Man has moved on to the second part of Skull, or the last part of Skull.
Yeah, so this dungeon's kind of convenient in that there's 2 backup bombs and 2 backup arrow pots for a total of 10 arrows. You want to exit this dungeon with 2 bombs, so you can stock up here if you happen to use any extras earlier, and you can pick up to 10 arrows. You want to have a minimum of 21, assuming that you use exactly 8 on Vitreous, so having more is better. So you can use a couple extra on that one.
Blunt did not get the 0 cycle, and he missed the first attempt at the quick kill, but got the second with the double fire rod and the spin.
Yeah, those combined, I think, save 6 seconds or so total, and are quite difficult. Argus is a super easy boss to kill in general, but to get the quick kill, to actually get the 0 cycle, so he doesn't give the hurricane attack at all, it's really, really difficult. Probably the hardest single quick kill that there is.
H-Man again makes it through Mothula relatively unscathed, no fairy. H-Man did pick up the half magic after getting the tempered sword, by the way, so it allowed him to use the fire rod to his advantage, both in the Mummy Hellway and in the Mothula fight. Newer runners will use the fire rod both to score some long distance damage on Mothula and also try to drive him off those top spikes.
Yeah, it gives him some sporadic movement, so if he's camping the spikes where you wouldn't be able to hurt him because of the spike glitch, you can throw the fire rod at him to try to get him off of there.
So Blunt is moving on to the Mire split, but before he goes into Mire, he's going to do some grocery shopping, pick up a medallion and an ice rod.
Right. The medallion is necessary to open up a dungeon, just like the other medallion, but a different dungeon.
Now, the trick to getting this medallion is you want to try to pick it up without getting any damage, because the second room of Mire really relies on you having sword beams to do it optimally.
Really
but
tight
you
dodge.
have boulders, dodging those boulders like a pro. You got boulders, you got squirrels, you got blue spiders. All of them want to get in your way and ruin your day. So using the hook dash, Blunt makes it through the first part of Death Mountain relatively safely. If you do take damage in Death Mountain getting Ether, you can try to farm some crabs before the Ice Rod, but those are 50-50 heart drops, and you don't want to waste a ton of time playing the 50-50 coin flip game, so you really want to make sure you get Ether without taking damage. You really want sword beams when you go into Mire.
The Ice Rod and the Ether here, you just kind of flute to them, get them, and then flute away. So you can kind of place them anywhere in the run that you want to. The only real pros and cons for any specific timing have to do with, the amount of times that you move the cursor in the menu. If you pick up the items at a different time, you might have to move 1 extra time in the menu, which is a handful of frames, and also the bomb route. Getting the Ice Rod after Swamp ensures that you're going to have as many bombs as you need to get it and have 1 extra for Mire, because as I mentioned, you can restock in Swamp.
BluntBunny tried for the Ice Rod swag spin speed, did not quite pull it off. He'll be hearing from the RP Godfather after the race.
That's a tough one to save time with. Yeah, so this is Misery Mire. He's going from the second dungeon in the Dark World in the intended order to the sixth. So the difficulty is going to scale significantly. There's going to be enemies in here that can hit him for 4 hearts of damage, including the boss fight. He has sword beam, so he will be able to attempt the one cycle or the fast strat in the second room here, where he tries to kill all the Wizrows before they're able to fade away and have to wait for them to fade back in a second time. It's really fancy and really hard to learn at first.
I still
really
do this.
good to do.
I still do the slow strat. I cannot do fast Mire 2.
Okay, you messed it up a little
neither
bit at the
can he.
beginning, so he had to.
Ooh, a 3-cycle Mire 2.
Yeah, I don't know why he fire rotted the first enemy instead of using sword beam, but he accidentally fire rotted south, so he had to use a sword beam on the first Wizrow because it would have faded away before he could dash through it. That threw off the dash timing, and then from there it just kind of fell apart. So yeah, those Wizrobes can do 4 hearts of damage. They're very strong, but honestly, they will die from any attack that can hit them. If you tickle them too aggressively, they'd probably die.
The weird thing about this game is there are some enemies that look very unassuming, but will body you really quickly if you don't realize how much damage they do. Coming up is a room with some slugs that drop bombs. You would think that a slug isn't going to do much damage. That slug will hit you for 4 hearts if you're not careful.
There's some floating
In Thieves' Town. In Thieves' Town, there's 2 little green goblins that you think are pretty harmless, but you're low on hearts at that point in the game. They'll do you for 2 hearts of damage, and they can gang up on you pretty quick. So it's good to know your enemies and your damage values.
Yeah, there's some skulls in this dungeon that he just dashed right past. If he bumped into one of those, that's 3 hearts of damage.
The game really expects that you've picked up the blue mail in Ice Palace, but that does not go fast and it does not roll deep, so we walk right on by.
Right. Blue mail, possibly 15 hearts or more, 3 bottles, potions. Like, that's all the stuff you could have at this point in a casual playthrough that we do not have.
So the Cane of Samaria that Blunt just picked up is actually used for some of the best tricks in the game. You'll see it used in really 2 creative ways in T-Rock, but you'll also see it used... I'm sorry, is it the Cane of Eric?
No, I think you're way ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
No.
He's about to go pick it up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Blunt is about to go pick it up. But it's the item that is used in the most creative way in the speedrun. You'll see it used for a few strats using cane dashing, which lets you solve rooms in ways that the game designers clearly did not intend. You'll see it used twice in in T-Rock, and you'll see it used later in Mire for a really good cane dash.
Yeah, for sure. It's like my favorite item. It has so many dynamic uses. It's probably the most fun item to use in boss fights, for the boss fights that it actually hurts. But it's also used in some glitches, which obviously you won't see in a No Major Glitches run. But as a fan of glitches myself, the Cane of Samaria has become one of my favorite items in glitch runs as well. For
those of you that follow Games Done Quick, you of course know Super Scudge from his RBO exhibition at this past Games Done Quick. So he is definitely familiar with the cane and all of its creative uses.
He's about to do a cane dash in this room here. He's going to hit a switch at the end of the dash.
If you go a little too slow, that cane shot will hit the spike. So you've got to time it pretty quickly.
And you can't even really see the spike, so if it hits it, it's kind of a surprise. And you'll notice afterwards.
He gets to this room and needs a bomb, and the bomb route is so precise that you have exactly 1 bomb when you get there. There's not many feelings worse in this game than getting to that room and realizing that you have 0 bombs.
Right, or throwing it the wrong way, which can actually happen in rare occasions. It feels really bad. Also, when you use that bomb, you auto switch the fire rod to hit the switch, which is a cute thing there. So for this boss, he's gonna damage himself from the slime for 1 heart of damage in order to use the invulnerability frames to charge a spin and spin the eyeballs from inside of them. Those eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage. So if you get hit by one of them instead of the slime, you're gonna get wrecked in the face.
BluntBunny does pull off the quick kill and says goodbye to the itty bitty vitty committee.
That's right. Nice and easy.
H-Man is about to wander into Cold Stare. So he's got half magic, allows him to play this fight a little bit safer. A lot of new runners will get half magic specifically for the Cold Stare fight. It allows you to just kind of, if a puff gets loose, shoot it from across the arena.
Yeah, the fire rod actually does twice as much damage as the tempered sword does against this boss. So
But
it would
he's
only
not
take
going
a
to
few
use
hits.
it.
I mean, he doesn't really have to. Didn't get hit at all.
Yeah, cold stare's down. Damageless cold stare, not bad.
And it looks like it's a pretty big time save for him on his PB splits.
I would like to
In
remind
fact, he's going to
everybody
be ahead of
that-
his PB.
Yeah, he is.
Or
I would
nearly.
like to remind everybody that H-Man's only been running the game for a couple of months now, so while it is an unfortunate reality of the bracket that he runs into BluntBunny, you are seeing him you might be seeing H-Man PB here, so let's make sure to give him some props if he pulls this off.
All right,
So
BluntBunny's on his way to the last dungeon. Oh, the last crystal dungeon, not the last dungeon of
passing
the
through
run.
Passing through the Waffle House, doesn't have to stop and play Mario, always good.
So you need to get all the crystals, which you get by completing Dark World dungeons, in order to access Ganon's tower. And then complete Ganon's tower and kill Ganon. That's the typical sequencing of the game, and this this run does follow the typical sequencing. These dungeons are quite hard. There's enemies in here that can hit you for 4 hearts of damage. And unlike Meyer, they're not nearly as easy to avoid. You're much more likely to get hit by one of them in this dungeon.
The worst part of the T-Rock segment, in my opinion, is the squirrels. You can be walking to T-Rock, you can get there damageless, and all of a sudden you can slash a squirrel and he will block your path completely, and you have no recourse other than to sit there and wait for him to start moving again or try to move far enough away that he despawns. Many runners have lost PB pace runs to just terrible squirrel RNG. And there's a really famous clip if somebody wants to fire up Gbot of a runner named Waffle just getting absolutely wrecked by squirrels. I definitely recommend you give it a watch.
Yeah. I think the command for that is play Mario.
Oh,
On
but it's
Gbot.
using the old Twitch stream, so somebody will have
Oh.
to find the new Twitch highlight for it.
Okay. Yeah, so earlier Blunt used a prize pack manipulation strat to manipulate the drops that he's going to get in order to get a fairy in this dungeon. Well, to most likely get a fairy in this dungeon. To not get in this dungeon at all would mean losing 8 or 10 coin flips.
He does get the roller skip. That's pretty. That's a pretty vital strat, because if you mess that up and you take damage going through the roller room both ways, it can really ruin your day.
The rollers do 3 full hearts of damage, and like I said, you can take a lot of damage in this dungeon unintentionally, and since you start off by taking a big hit intentionally, the fairy drop is nice. So we'll see if he gets it here. These bouncy guys are the ones who can drop a fairy, and he got it right away. Having sword beams,
he also bet on getting that fairy by running straight into the jelly on the way, and he gets the chain chomp skips there too. That's another one of the creative uses of the cane block.
Yeah, having sword beams here, well, having full hearts is nice because it means you're much less likely to die, but having sword beams can actually allow you to do faster strats in some places. You can use them instead of a cane block in some cases, and sometimes you can actually use them in combination with a cane block to do a strat even faster.
There are, however, rooms in T-Rock where sword beams are, again, really bad. There's a room coming up with 2 pokies in a square room, and if you're not paying attention to sword beams, you can send a bunch of pokey body parts flying around the room and end your run pretty quickly. He did
get dash he did right there is really fancy. That's not something that a lot of players are going to be trying to do or doing successfully if they do try. So that's really nice. Each pokey, his initial movement is one of 4 directions, the 4 diagonals. So a single pokey has 4 different patterns. With one of the patterns, there's a difficult strat you can do that Blunt just pulled off. With the other 3, they're all pretty easy, and they all have different timings. You can gain or lose time from RNG. He slashed his sword before he got into the room with the pokies here. Oh, he got the double. That is so nice.
Got the good RNG. Nice.
There's a handful. Since each pokey has 4 movements, there's 16 total patterns there, and each one has a technically correct reaction. And with a handful of them, you can kill both of them with 1 spin. Blunt's actually one of the few people who does all of them correctly, and he's actually gotten pretty good at them. There was a time when he tried to do them correctly, but was not quite as good at them. But I was still proud of him for trying. And now he's He's really good at it. Honestly, if you want to learn how to do that room, he's probably the person to watch more than any other player, even Zelna.
I actually managed to lose a PB pace run about 2 weeks ago going into Poke 2 with full hearts and a fairy, and I still died twice. It is... I got wrecked.
Very tough. He's going to skip a laser here. The dungeon item for this dungeon is the Mirror Shield, which would block these lasers. But instead of using that, he's going to do a dash, which triggers the laser, and then he hits the rail in a way that it'll realign him after the laser is past him, but before the next one fires. So you can squeeze past him with that dash.
Here's another creative use of the cane. We're going to use the cane dash to trigger both of those switches at the same time, letting you move through that room a lot quicker than anticipated, and he's already out.
Yeah, he also landed on top of those the floor pegs intentionally to get invulnerability frames to walk into the Pokey when he charged his dash, so he didn't have to dodge it or anything. With some patterns from that Pokey, you want to do that.
So we're going with the backdoor Trinex, called Trinex because he has 3 necks. Again, shoutouts to Peacock. He gets the backdoor strat, does it pretty well. Trinex, 95% explosions, 5% action. If you blinked, he's already 2/3 of the way through the fight.
Yeah. Quick Kill in the second phase relies on the spin hitting him twice, and then 1 slash to kill him. Very
He
nice.
item buffered there to the hook shot for a strat coming straight out of T-Rock, where he'll hook dash off the ladder to save a few more seconds in the beginning of the Ganon's Tower split.
Yeah, the menu is actually worth it because the amount of time that it saves is greater than the amount of time that it would take to menu an additional time.
And the hook shot is the
Otherwise, you
first
wouldn't.
item that you want in Ganon's Tower anyway, so... Yeah, the chat just reminded me that BluntBunny did get rocked by 10 blue balls. He would be on 126 pace, but probably going to finish up with a mid to high 127.
Could be mid to low 127 even, if he plays the rest of it very well and doesn't get too bad RNG on Ganon.
Well, he got 10 blue balls. He's going to get 30 warps.
Maybe. We'll see.
So there's the hook dash. It lets him get some... frames saved in the first screen of the split. Dashing through Lionel Richie. Hello, is it me you're looking for? No, it's not. I'm out of here.
And this is, of course, Ganon's Tower. Well, he's opening that. Let's watch H-Man kill Argus. As I said, this is a pretty easy boss to do normally without even trying the quick kill, so he shouldn't have too much trouble just killing him.
The way that we do this route, he is way overpowered at the time with a ton of hearts, so now it should just be 2 splashes, and goodbye, Argus.
Quick kill. Oh, fired early.
Still got 2 spins, so not bad. We are actually saving more time, it looks like. It looks like this is going to be another gold by about 20 seconds, and H-Man might be back on PB pace.
I think he is, yeah.
So one of the questions that new runners ask invariably when learning this game is, okay, I'm running this game, but I can't seem to be saving time. What should I be practice? Invariably, the answer comes back is always going to be Meyer, T-Rock, Ganon's Tower, Ganon. T-Rock, Ganon's Tower, and Ganon. If you are running this game, you're learning this game, and you're trying to figure out what it is keeping you from getting those 2 minutes that you want to get on your PB next, it's probably T-Rock, Ganon's Tower, and Ganon. So watch how BluntBunny runs through this dungeon, especially the Mimic rooms coming up and the Ice Armos room coming up.
To be honest, I think if a player really prioritizes practicing correctly, I think you should get a sub 130 run before you get a sub 6 escape. But for some reason, the sub 6 escape is so desirable to every player that they prioritize that before anything else. Maybe because it's the most evident at an early level. It's the most deceptive time.
Yeah. Now, real quick, Blunt is coming into Ice Armos. Interesting thing about the Ice Armos fact, this is actually a really new discovery. great thing about Link to the Past is that we're still learning new things 30 years later. What we found is that the way that this Ice Armos fight ends up actually determines how the Ganon fight is going to go. Scudge has a really interesting video about the variable that is used to determine how Ice Armos spins. And if you get the quick kill like Blunt just did, you'll know exactly how the Ganon fight will start in Phase 2. So that's a new discovery in like the past month, and it's actually been a question that's been on a lot of runners' minds over the past years. Why do I get these weird patterns in Ganon? So great that we're still learning things about the game 31 years after it's released.
Yeah, it's good to know basically that you're not going to be
21
surprised
years.
by a strange condition inexplicably. Ganon's Tower, it is the last dungeon, and it is very difficult, especially in a speed run, but there's a lot of dungeon-specific enemies that are reused in Ganon's Tower, and a lot of them aren't really as strong as the enemies that you deal with in Mire and Turtle Rock. There are some Wizrobes, yeah, but for the most part, you're not really dealing with anything that does 4 full hearts of damage and can actually realistically hit you. There's a lot of stuff that can hurt you for 1 or 2 hearts of damage, and just a lot of difficult stuff to execute. But the risk of dying, I think, is maybe a little less than Turtle Rock for that reason.
H-Man had some bird trouble there before getting into Mire, so he's not going to have sword beams for Mire 2. We'll have to see how he reacts. Blunt going through the gauntlet, 5 rooms of quite possibly the most annoying enemy and ice floor placement. You can either make up a lot of time here if you do it optimally, or you can just lose minutes.
Yeah, so he's going to refight Lemolas here. You refight all 3 of the Light World bosses in this dungeon. He already did Armos and did it successfully. Ooh, nearly got the 1 cycle in Lemolas.
Almost.
With the Fire Rod, it's a lot easier to get a fast fight. Actually, it looked like he had 1 extra hit on the last one, so he wouldn't have gotten the quick kill if that last Fire Rod did manage to connect. But yeah, it will be 2 hits with a Fire Rod. Spin does the same amount of damage, so you spin attack the first one, and then use a Fire Rod to kill that one and the rest.
There's the first of those 2 rooms where the cane is really used in a really neat mechanic, and here's the second one.
Nice.
And he gets both of them.
There's 2 torch rooms coming up here. You got to be kind of careful with your magic usage. If you're messing them up kind of badly, you can actually run out of magic and not be able to progress. It's pretty rare, but there have been some pretty famous instances of that happening. Well, 1 famous one, but I won't really name any names today. Somebody ran out of magic there, and took a very long time to find some more. It's going to get a key from a chest in this room. There's actually 3 keys that you have to pick. You have to pick 1 between them. The chest is the second fastest, but it also automatically gets you a heart and a magic refill. If you choose the fastest one, then you would have to pick up the heart or the magic manually if you feel like you need one of them. And you also lose a heart. So it's a 2 heart difference to get a faster key.
Moldorm 2, a lot easier than Moldorm 1. Thank you, Tempered Sword.
The Tempered Sword helps a lot. I think the arena is actually easier too.
No hole in the middle.
Yeah. And it's coming up on the Aghanim refight now, which is a little different from the original. There's going to be 3 Aghanims. Only 1 of them takes damage, but they all will attack him, which actually makes the fight faster than the original because you can hit him more than once per attack. Also, the first attack is a guaranteed good shot, good energy ball from the real Aghanim, and then after that it's 50-50 blue balls for only the real one. The other ones will always give energy shots.
So I can't tell if he got the double or if it was same frame. He's either got 2 or 3 hits in.
Yeah, if 2 attacks hit him at the same time, then he'll only take damage once. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Ooh. Yeah, this has been... The best you can do is 2 cycle, but that takes good RNG and good skill. Similar to Lamola's in that regard.
So 4 cycle.
In fact, It's pretty similar to Lamola's.
What
and like the
what
cycle
is Blunt doing?
count.
What is Blunt doing to Aghanim's corpse? Poor Aghanim.
Nothing
What did you do to
appropriate.
deserve that?
Poor Aghanim. All right, and coming up is the final boss, Ganon. A very, very good final boss fight for a speed run. It's very difficult to optimize. It is affected by RNG somewhat, but it's a very exciting final fight for this run. With the green armor, no armor upgrades. If you touch Aghanim, you'll actually take 8 hearts of damage. Most of his other attacks do 4 hearts, and he has a couple attacks that do 2 hearts. So it's very easy to die in this fight from small mistakes. But Blunt's experience, it's unlikely that he's going to get hit more than once. And walking into Ganon is just, I don't know, totally avoidable.
Got the one cycle on phase 1 and 2, so we're moving on to phase 3.
Dodged the bats at the beginning of the 3rd phase, so he should be fine from here, unless anything crazy happens. These warps are random. There's a 50% chance that he's going to land and let you hit him, and there's a 50% chance that he'll warp again. And there's no upper limit here. He could theoretically warp an infinite amount of times. Theoretically, of course, with diminishing probability. If you light the left torch before the right one goes out, then the right torch never goes out. We call that the torch glitch. It helps a lot with this fight because you can get 3 hits each time you light the torch instead of 2 that you'd be able to get without the torch glitch. He spun early there, turned Ganon blue, so we didn't actually damage him. You gotta time these spins pretty precisely. This is actually a glitch that you can damage him and kill him this way. Normally you need the silver arrows to do it. But if you time the spins just right, you can start to work down his HP. It takes 12 spins with this sword to kill him.
And you can't miss too many swords, or you'll have sword spins, or you will run out of magic and have to jump down. I think you can, if you're using the fire rod, I think you can miss 4 spins.
You can miss a lot of spins, really. It takes half a bar of magic to do it perfectly, and you can miss like 2. So you can miss like 12 or something.
Okay, if you do the triples, yeah, I do doubles. I'm not
good. If you're getting all triples, yeah.
Blunt with the 127.32, mid 127. Good job,
over
Blunt.
A minute lost from blue balls.
Yes, that is a pretty good race run right there.
That was quite good. H-Man just finished up Vitreous.
I think we're going to try to bring Blunt in here for a quick conversation after he finishes mashing through text.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to keep following H-Man here because, as I said, he is on PB pace. That's another gold split for H-Man. That is 6 gold splits in this run. That is really good for a runner that is probably racing in front of his biggest viewer count ever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something we didn't mention. Blunt actually has a lot of experience with races in marathon settings, with lots of viewers. So he probably has a lot more experience handling this kind of nerves. H-Man probably doesn't. Like, that's probably affecting him. So the fact that he's keeping up with his PB, that's really impressive.
He's actually fought back from being 122 over PB to being 24 under. So that's a pretty good climb.
Yeah, that mirror in Harrow was a huge time loss, but he's pretty much been consistently saving time since then.
All right, well, I think we got BluntBunny with us. Blunt, congratulations on your first round victory. Anything stand out to you about that run?
10 blue balls.
I think we knew that was going to be the answer.
It was all right. I made a lot of mistakes, actually. And I was more nervous for no reason. I don't know why. I think it was because there was just a lot of viewers. But it was okay.
Well, 127.32.
Uncharacteristic mistakes. Like walking next to the stairs and escape.
Oh, I was trying to adjust my volume on my laptop because I was carrying double commentary. So I was trying to situate things. Also, I started the race late, I think, because I looked over at the race channel and it said go, and I didn't even know it was starting. So H-Man got a small disadvantage there. But yeah, it was okay.
The one thing that I noticed, I looked away and I looked back, and I think you lost count of your cycles on AGA 1. you stood there and took a blue ball to the face.
Yeah.
I was distracted by chat. I definitely won't be having the chat up for like the next round.
Oh, did you have it up? Oh, yeah, you were chatting the whole time, I guess.
Yeah, I was just like typing stuff. So
ACM style.
I'm trying to think if anything else happened.
Zelna would like to remind you that you dashed into a hole after Hera.
Oh yeah, that was
funny.
thanks. I tried to copy what Zelna does. He walks like diagonal around the pits, and I didn't walk down far enough. So I dashed into the pit like an idiot. I think everything else was fine. I almost died to Vidi, I think, right? I
The
almost
Vidi
got an
fight,
eyeball hug.
you did almost get hugged, but you got a pretty good dodge. So the Vidi fight looked pretty. Other than that near hug, it was pretty clean.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that was really it. That was crazy. Meyer was pretty decent. Turtle Rock was good. I think that was it. I think I just need to retime one split. I think Turtle Rock was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it was really good. You got that double pokey, the one spin.
Oh, I know you
Pokeys
like
and
that.
the key dash.
Scudge likes the orange. I like that room a lot. I don't know why.
There's
I
the squirrel
spent a lot
block.
of time on that room.
There's the
I think
squirrel
you're the only
block on
person that
H-Man.
really does it correctly.
Yeah, I think there's one RNG I still don't do, but there's a lot of double spin RNGs, and you can save quite a bit of time in that room if you just know the RNGs. Especially the single spin ones, they save like almost a second on average.
I'm pretty bad at them, but I still try to do them correctly.
I need to look at there's like an SMV pack or something, right? That has every RNG test.
Now, since BluntBunny's in this race, one of the things I do want to shout out for all the new runners that are learning the game, we actually have a practice ROM that's available. Our friend Poor Little Pinkus put together a practice ROM, but on top of that, BluntBunny actually went through and made a practice pack of all the major spots in the game. So for anybody learning the game, I definitely recommend that you get a hold of that practice ROM and that practice pack. A lot of work went into that, both by Pinkus making the ROM and BluntBunny for doing the legwork of getting the save states, but it is definitely vital for anybody that wants to learn to run this game at this level.
Yeah, the practice ROM is seriously a godsend. It just helps you understand the game so much better with like room times and all that stuff. So I definitely, if you have an SD to SNES, you can definitely take advantage of the save feature or the save pack. But if you don't, you can still use the practice ROM to in conjunction with a game saver.
Yeah, you're going to need a flash cart for the expanded memory or a hacked emulator, which might be a little harder to find.
Oh, really? You need a hacked emulator to run that?
It takes a patched version of DSNES for the expanded SRAM.
Yeah. Since the cartridge, the flash card has expanded SRAM that's accessible for the ROM to use to make the save states. Normal emulators just emulate the actual cartridge's normal SRAM amount, which wouldn't be enough. So you need to get kind of a modified emulator to have that access.
It's good to know. Maybe we should put that in notes somewhere on either Helge's site or in the README or something. But yeah.
So just to keep up with H-Man here, he is going into the roller room in T-Rock. He does get the roller skip as well. Ooh, he does not.
I believe he's on PB pace, isn't he?
He is.
He
actually fought back from being 122 plus to being 24 to the good. So he's actually climbed. He's had 6 gold splits and has climbed back pretty well since Palace of Darkness.
Yeah. He's got to be pretty new. I don't think I've even.
Yeah, his oldest run that I could find is about 1 month old.
It's cool that like these newer runners are joining the tourney. The first tourney I joined, I think I had mid 133, and I didn't get very far, I don't think, but it was still like really fun. And this is like the first time we've done it on a restream, I believe.
That's why we still get fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little
this
bit of bad luck with the pokies.
H-Man is one of the new German players, actually. There's been a lot of activity in this game from Germans lately.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of really good German players and up and coming German players as well.
A couple of really good ones and a lot who are pretty new. Executive, I still think of him as being pretty new, but he's got a lot of experience now. And he's pretty much steadily improved since he's been playing the game. He almost never had like a real skill plateau along the way. And he's gotten his time down a lot. And of course, Tim Owen is a lot more experienced. Currently the best German, but who knows for how long if Executor keeps it up.
Yeah, Timon is definitely great. He beat my low percent time.
Shoutouts to Timon and Pumbaa.
Executor, and then there's Sunrise and Freaks and Tear.
I
believe those are all the German runners I'm thinking of at the top of my head.
There's Mike the Viewer from back in the day. He still has a pretty competitive time, but he doesn't play anymore.
Shoutouts to the 360 controller that he uses for his runs.
Yeah.
D-pad must not be that bad if he can pull off like almost a 126.
He's a really smart player too, though.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys who analyzes strats down to the frame with Taz tools and everything.
We forgot Krillpan, by the way, for the German runners.
Krillpan's pretty good. He's retired though recently. Cybot, I don't think is he still active?
I've seen him stream a little bit recently. I actually thought he was joining the tournament, but I don't think he did.
He joined and then dropped out, I think. There was Ishida Yamamoto or whatever, but he retired very quickly. Yeah, there's been a lot of activity though. Like I said, it's hard to just list everybody's name that's German and played the game in the last month.
Yeah, there's quite a few players. That's really cool.
Really, the only real large group of country with a large segment of runners that's not represented in this tourney is Japan. We were trying to get a few of the Japanese runners in, but we weren't able to get a hold of any of them.
I think Pui was too busy for the tournament, which he would have been a good contender for
Pui runs too many games.
He's good at like all the games too.
Yeah, he just got like a really good Link's Awakening time.
Yeah.
H-Man with the really quick hook shot save to avoid getting firebarred.
He's going to have to do it 2 more times, I think. Yeah, there we go. All right, he got through.
But
I think he still has some fairies, but it's better not to use them if you don't have to.
Coming up next is Laser Skip, though, so...
Has he got a fairy? Yeah, he's got a fairy, I'm sure.
I hope so.
That's a good thing about Turtle Rock is that there's a lot of anti-fairies in this dungeon, so you don't have to worry too much about.
This dungeon has a kind of a checkpoint here coming up. It's like an optional thing. You can exit and re-enter the dungeon. So if you die, you'll actually respawn at this entrance, which is closer to the end of the dungeon. So it serves as a kind of checkpoint. So he may opt to open that up to take the safety. He switched to the cane instead of the bomb, so I'm guessing he won't. See how well he does this.
I think he'll be alright if he has a fairy. Ooh. I think I'm behind, actually. You guys are probably actually watching the stream.
That was Laser Skip, and he does have a fairy.
Okay.
And he'll have a few more that he can pick up in the switch block room if he opts to. Standing 1 pixel too low to start the Laser Skip.
Oh, he got it.
But he got it anyway.
All right. I jumped in the hole to go back to the door. It's not the fastest way to do it, but it's safe and easy. And yeah, you can heal up here and even restock in fairies. And he has half magic. It's actually possible if you don't to not have enough magic to really restock here. And that kind of sucks when you're a new player. You have the magic powder, you have all these anti-fairies, but you can't actually take advantage of them.
He's not going to pick up a safety fairy. He's going to go with just the 1 fairy refill.
That should.
Oh no, he did pick up. He did pick up the safety fairy. I'm sorry.
I'm actually going to pull up the stream, so I'm on sync with you guys.
He has the gold sword, which makes this fight a good amount easier. He didn't menu. That's a fun fact about boss fights. You can't use the menu while part of them is exploding. So you want to switch to the fire rod before you finish killing the first head in order to start killing the second head faster.
Ooh, just narrowly avoids getting hit with the head.
This can be a pretty scary fight if you like miss one of the shots, because the ice rod
pretty hard.
has
And
a
since his heads and his body kind of move independently, you can get some really unpredictable movements to dodge.
The ice rod has like a terrible like hitbox.
That's true too.
So it's very like if you miss up on the firehead, there's a good chance you're gonna get some ice in the fight, like he did.
He may no, no, we're not going to have another gold split, but I think we're still definitely in PB territory.
Yeah, I think so.
Looks like he's got an 1110 G tower, so there's definitely some time to make up there.
Yeah, definitely.
He's only +5. Wow. This is why I stress that a lot of you new players finish your runs, because look how far behind he was, and then he caught all the way up.
Yeah, the reset heavy mindset is probably one of the most detrimental mindsets
I was
that you can have, especially with
Yeah, that's probably, you know, I'm personally I'm somebody that doesn't have a ton of time to grind out practice, so I just got to make sure that I finish my runs. Otherwise, you just never see T-Rock, G Tower, or Ganon, and if you keep resetting after every 6-minute escape, you're not going to see a lot of the end of the game. So
yeah, I don't even reset escapes that are over 6 minutes, and that does happen to me sometimes still.
So you got the safety key here. I don't know if you guys went over the keys in this dungeon or not.
we did, but we're actually about 10 seconds behind, so we match up with the stream delay. So he is just now getting the torch key on our stream.
Oh, you're watching this. Oh, maybe I just need to refresh that.
So
torch key is definitely the safest, easiest.
Just a reminder, guys, if you do like watching Link to the Past, go ahead and give both of our racers a follow, BluntBunny and H-Man. You know, definitely two runners with different skill levels, but you will see people at different paths of learning the game. So throw both of our runners a follow, please.
Okay, Timon, thanks. Yeah, I think it's pretty important that these new guys get support too. It keeps them wanting to play the game.
Yeah, it's really important.
And also, if you are looking to get into the Link to the Past, we have a weekly race every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Speedruns Live IRC. The most recent races have actually been pretty good, nearly 20 people in some of these races. So we take people of all skill levels. It's a fun time. You know, everybody knows who's going to win, but we still do it anyway.
we pretty much just hope that Zelna oversleeps. That's what a lot of the top players do.
Yeah,
so that he maybe get a win.
Or that he can't find his milkshake.
Right. He dropped his bag of milk. Has to clean it up.
Local store was out of Nestle Quick.
Oh, that's awful. That sounds terrible.
Having silver arrows in the gold sword changes up this dungeon too. The refights are going to be different. He's going to be able to use the silver arrows in the Armos refight, and that's going to make it a lot faster.
He's going to be able to single shot every single one of these guys.
I was going to stop restock on a fairy. That's probably good. That should be the last one he needs. With the gold sword and silver arrows, he should be fine fighting Ganon. You know, I don't know if he's going to get the red armor, but if he does, then he'll be even safer.
Oh, he's getting red mail. Nice. Red mail's a good safety if you decide to do tempered Ganon as well. It's a very small time loss.
I kept I kept the red mail and the powder until I had a 132, and I also was playing on the US version at the time.
I think I timed it the other way the other day, and I believe red mail is just under 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's
Most of
around
that
it.
time loss is from the slow movement across the ice.
Yeah, but it's really nice. Reduces enemy damage significantly.
Going with the safe strat here, there is another strat that I believe Blunt used where you deboost across the spikes. But if you are at all concerned about having enough hearts, you can just follow the peg path. Mimics 1, Mimics 2, these are the rooms that are the hardest to learn in Ganon's Tower. When you watch somebody do them optimally, it looks like magic, and then there's other times like this where you end up with a pattern that you just don't know how to fix.
Yeah, Mimics 1 optimally is the hardest room in the game.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It's a pretty tough room to do quickly.
Mimics 2 is not quite as bad. Mimics 2 has a worse reputation for, when it starts to go poorly, it gets more easily out of hand because there's BMOs putting pressure on you and stuff.
Yeah.
But when we're just talking about actually successfully doing something optimally, I think the optimal Mimics 1 is like probably the hardest room.
Yeah. The good thing about Mimics 2 is there's quite a few like alternative strats that work really well in there.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like Mimics 1, you kind of have... There's like one main strat. Oh, nice, Ether.
Shoutouts to Parisian Player with creative uses of Ether.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I wonder if Ether is faster than a poor execution of this room normally, because this room can be really slow. Killing those Stalfos. I know I've had times where that room felt so painfully slow that Ether probably would have been faster. If there wasn't such a bad magic cost. Anyway.
Well, if you have half magic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you're... One little tip, if you're using Ether in all these rooms, and you need magic, you can hammer the frozen enemies for a high... I think it drops the magic pack, the magic prize pack.
That's true.
100% drop rate.
Yeah,
So
but using Ether might be a good way to get a time while you're learning, but you do need to make sure that you're still practicing the right way to do those rooms, because
Yeah, for sure.
if you're nervous, of course, you're going to want to do easier strats.
2-cycle land mode 2, not bad.
Did he use sword only? That's pretty cool.
I think he did use the fire rod once.
Ooh, he got the rare, like, he got knocked out of his dash in that room. That's pretty rare.
Oh yeah, that is really uncommon.
Ooh. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times in the past week, and it's never fun. Same thing with the collapsing bridge coming up. There's just random times that you'll get knocked out of your dash, and there's nothing really you can do.
Oh, sorry, I'm spoiling him. I'm like, if I watch the restream, it's like, it's way too far behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
With half magic, you can actually use the fire rod in this room instead of just using the lamp. The main time save there is actually saving you a menu because you're probably going to switch to the fire rod anyway.
He might lose one of the torches here. He
Maybe.
fell down.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Yeah, the fire rod actually doesn't save a ton of time like you think it might because you can hit the torches from farther away. It's actually kind of surprising. I mean, you have to walk up and pick up the pots anyway, so it's very little movement time saved. I think it'll be fine this time. There's actually a huge window in this room. You got to consider casual players have to be able to do it. So even like you see speedrunners who mess it up a little bit and are worried, but you got to remember the difference between what a speedrunner does and what the developers expected people to be able to do.
Also, if you do that room
it's pretty
unoptimally,
significant.
if you do that room messed it up in a specific way, you can end up going upstairs at the same time that the door is triggered to close by the torch going out. And if you do that, all the enemies upstairs will be gone, including Aghanim, and you
Yeah.
can't progress through the game. You just have to mirror out and go through it again. It's pretty rare. I think it's happened to most of the top runners at least once. But you have to mess up the room in a very specific way.
Yeah, it is a frame perfect mistake.
I think it's happened to me twice ever, and it's
I
one
don't
of those
think
times.
it happened to me, but I don't
There's
know.
a similar sprite despawn in Ice Palace. It's not a sprite despawn; it's more of a sprite misplacement. But you can do the same thing in the second room of Ice Palace as well. Not with torches.
That one's a
but
little
with
more
enemies.
predictable, so you can avoid it if you think it might happen.
And when you mirror out in Ice Palace, you're not going through 18 rooms.
No, right. You're doing 2 rooms over, I guess. As soon as you realize that happens.
4 if it takes you too long to notice.
Yeah.
So here we go with Aga 2. Let's see if we can get some good patterns here. Got it. Get 2.
I don't ever expect to get more than 2 hits per cycle. I consider 2 to be pretty good for me.
It's a really hard fight. Like I'm just now realizing how important it is to be good at this fight.
Dude, I've been trying to win this fight for so long, and I just can't seem to get better at it.
The real problem is that if it takes too long and the Aghanims start getting out of sync, and then it just goes downhill. Oh, he got a good pattern here to clean up.
Yeah.
Like
there you go.
He tied my Aghanim.
We might be 30 seconds here. I think that might be another gold.
I'm not sure when he's going to split here.
Nice.
It's definitely a time save.
There's 2 ways to split here. You can either split when the bat crashes through or when Link lands on the top of the pyramid.
Oh, he's...
And just so everybody knows, we would like to bring H-Man in for a conversation after this race, but unfortunately his microphone in Discord isn't working well. So, but we do want to make sure that everybody shoots him a follow and a congratulatory message for doing such a good job in this race.
With the gold sword and silver arrows, this fight becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I miss this fight being so easy. With the red mail, you can tank all these fire bat hits too.
And half magic, you can just throw fire rods all over the place. Oh, he did not get the single cycle phase 2. I think he miscounted.
I think he got himself in a bad position and didn't want to go back into it because he would have to go through the fire circle.
Okay, guys, got jokes in the chat.
He's an okay guy.
He's okay.
He's alright. An alright guy. Oh no. Oh, I'm spoiling, sorry.
He was going to light the torch instead of going for a hit before.
Or did he miss torch glitch? Oh no, he got no.
Oh no.
No.
Unfortunate thing that happens in this fight quite often.
But you got to soldier on and you got to finish when you're this close.
Yeah, he definitely has to finish at this point.
He's going to probably pick up the fairy from the tree just to make sure that nothing goes wrong the second time. I think most of us have probably lost a PB run to Ganon at least once.
I think I have once.
That's
because I do so few runs.
I've even heard of people walking straight off the edge after Ganon is dead.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
I've heard of that a few times. Luckily, I heard about that before I ever accidentally did it.
Although, to be fair, the person that happened to told me specifically not to let him live it down. So, shout outs to my boy Greenham.
It happened to ACM like 2 weeklies in a row or something.
ACM got ACM. It happened to ACM like 3 times within that week, I think, too. He just kept doing it on accident. And
So-
go ahead.
One of the other things that newer runners don't really realize about this fight is in phase 3, you can slash Ganon all you want when he's warping, but only one slash actually does anything.
Yeah, third phase Ganon kill would be a really nice time save if someone figured that out.
Silver arrows definitely make this fight go a lot quicker.
Definitely.
Ganon's hitbox is really wonky in this fight. It's like his hitbox is like directly in the center of him.
Yeah. All right, you should hit him one more time. Should be fine. Oh, we missed. That's why
Oh.
you said the thing about the hitbox.
Yeah, because you can't use it. It's just too high.
All right, there we go.
And there we go. Looks like H-Man finishes with a 156.28.
And he got done on
Bracket
time.
predictions are correct so far. Feeling pretty good about my bracket.
156.28 very spot time, but a 156.26 game time. So definitely a solid performance for a really new runner
Yeah.
going up in his first big race. So
Yeah,
definitely
very solid time
GG to
saves.
H-Man.
Throughout most of the run. Of course, congratulations again, BluntBunny. That was a very impressive run. Hopefully you got your 10 blue balls out of the way early so that in
Yes.
future runs you can get a little better RNG.
Oh, man, I don't want that to happen in a decent matchup.
So again, go ahead and follow our runners, BluntBunny and The Only H-Man. If you like Link to the Past, you'll see a lot of it from them. A little bit of Donkey Kong Country 3 from BluntBunny every now and then, but a lot of Link to the Past. So
who's
I've heard rumors that another race might have gotten scheduled coming up. We'll have to see if that happened. I've seen some activity in the Discord while we were in here.
Oh yeah? Think we have enough time to get that set up to stream?
It shouldn't take long to set up, but we will have to find another commentator because unfortunately it is past Scrivo's bedtime.
I would
Oh, dang.
I can commentate if you want. If they're ready to race now, though.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Looks like it
If
might
we
be
actually are
Executor.
starting one up.
It might be Executor and Salatman 92.
Oh really? I thought Real Jayhawk was also trying to schedule his race for tonight. I couldn't really keep up with all the chat. I got join parts on in my IRC client, and with a lot of viewers like this, there's big walls of joins and parts, so I miss a lot of stuff.
All right. Well, again, I just want to say good game to our runners, BluntBunny and H-Man. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and if there's another race, I'll catch you tomorrow. But congrats on your win, BluntBunny.
Thanks. Good night, man.
Thanks for joining me, Scrivo.
Anytime, man.
Absolutely, Timon, if you want to. I don't see that being a problem.
See what are these guys doing? Oh, Executor's offline.
Was that? Were they trying to race tonight?
I'm not sure. If there's going to be a race tonight, RPG says he wants to do some commentary. Maybe you and RPG can do the main commentary and all, in case there's any specific questions.
Yeah, it's.
I forgot. I certainly cannot go to bed yet without reminding everybody to do one thing.
Uh-oh.
Roll deep, my sons.
Oh,
I'll try.
thanks. I'll try. Yeah, I don't. If
We'll see if
RPG
he does good.
keep it PG-13, he's more than welcome to commentate.
I think he will if you just remind him.
Yeah, he's in here already. He just has his mic muted.
Oh, there he is. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna step out for a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. Is anybody trying to race?
I think they're working that out now.
Okay. Yeah, Timon, if they're gonna race, you should hop in here.
All right, yeah, looks like they're not going to do another race tonight.
Okay. Oh, I guess we'll. Where are they talking at?
There's two ALTTP servers now. It's the one that's got the title screen picture in the icon.
Oh, okay.
They're in the general chat.
Oh, that's why.
All right, well, we know that there are some races coming up tomorrow. We have Timon versus Dexurian, Negazeus versus what? How do you even pronounce these names?
Oh, let me pull them up. Actually,
I should have looked before I started reading. We have a couple of races happening tomorrow, so make sure you check that out. There's also going to be a last. What's that?
IR Godzilla. Is that how you say that?
Oh, it's an IR Godzilla. Yeah. I see.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna hold off till tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah, it looks like 4 p.m. tomorrow. There's going to be another race, 4 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if anyone's going to be around to commentate for that, but if so, we'll show that here.
Yeah, I think I can do that one.
All right, good. I think I'll be at work, but anything after 8 tomorrow, I should be able to do. So, if anybody needs commentary, just let me know. Wait, is there a Google Doc? There is, right?
Yeah, the topic of the I think of each channel, on the tournament server has the links.
Perfect. All right. Well, definitely some good matches coming up too.
We're still broadcasting.
Yep, I'm about to take it down. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you tomorrow.
See you guys later.